Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I recently made a couple of wonky half-square triangle blocks for a video, and I am very curious to see what happens if we purposely make identical wonky blocks. And I want to do that in a way so that you can follow along and do the exact same design if you like the way this turns out. I'm going to tell you, I haven't practiced with this or played with it. I have no clue what we're going to get, but we're going to do it and we will all learn together. I do know there are probably 1,000,001 combinations that we can do. I am going to start out simple and I'll just get a better feel for it as we go. So what we're going to be doing is our 2 half-square triangle blocks. Those 2 blocks will be different from each other. You could make those blocks and separate them for 2 separate quilts. You know, you could just make a whole bunch, put pile A together, pile B together, and make them 2 separate quilts. Or you could combine them to make a quilt that way. What I'm going to be doing for this video is, on the quilt board at the end, I will show you block A, and I'll show what you can do with block A alone. I will show block B, and I will show what you can do with block B alone. Then I will mix block A and block B to show you what you can do, the different designs you can create if you use both blocks in the same quilt. So let's see how that goes. We're going to be making a pattern because we want all our wonky blocks to be alike. I grabbed 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper because I'm assuming probably everyone has this at home. If not, you can use a piece of newspaper, a magazine page, whatever. We're going to leave the height of 8.5 and we're going to trim this to 9.5 wide. So I'm going to just trim these to 9.5 wide. So I only need to cut 1.5 inches off the end. Now we have our pattern pieces. This one is going to be block A. And I'm just making this up as I go. Looking for a pen. You're going to look at the top here. And let's go in 2 inches and make a little mark. If you don't have a cutting mat with a ruler on it, just use any ruler. And let's do 1, 2, 3, let's do 4. So 2 inches in on the top, 4 inches in on the bottom. Connect those 2 dots and draw a line. I'm going to start at this bottom dot and I'm going to go 1.5 inches there. And then let's count 4.5 on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So right about there. Not too wonky, but let's just go with it. So this is block A1. This is A2, A3. Put that aside. Now let's work on block B. I want to make the wonkiness different on this one. I was going to do it the same, but I thought, why? Why not be extra wonky? Let's go smaller on the bottom this time. So I'm going to go in 2, and let's just go in, let's say 3.5. I don't know why I'm picking these numbers. I just am. I'm going to go over 2.5 now. We're at 1/2, so I counted 1, 2.5. And let's go down to here, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 inches from the last dot there. We'll connect that. And this is B1, B2, B3. All right, I'm going to just cut these now. Now we don't need to get actual squares of fabric. You just need fabric wide enough for your pieces. And I think for this one I'm going to use the same colors. So like each number 1 piece might be blue and then the 2 center ones red. I don't know. Let me go look at my fabric and I'll decide what I'm doing. I don't really have a plan, but I am going to, I think, use the same 3 colors for each block, but I'm not sure. I do know that I want to incorporate this print and this because I like that. There's yellow and there's just a lot of matching colors there. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to cut A1 out of this, and I'm going to cut B3 out of this. All right, I have A1. If I were actually making a quilt, I would put a scrap on my A1 so I would know that this piece of pattern uses that fabric. So I would not forget. And I said I want B3 out of this too. Okay, there's my B3. This is certainly not as quick as when we start out with squares and cut. But again, if you're making an actual quilt and you want identical blocks, there's easier ways to make this quicker. Like stack fabrics, have strips cut so that you're not wasting fabric. I'm just grabbing scraps and doing what I can for the sake of the video. I'm going to now cut B1 out of this stripe. So I've got that one. And let's do A2 out of that also. Can I fit it down here? Yes, I can. See, we can make things work. I need to go find one more print. I have this little piece of like a floral kind of leafy kind of gray, and I'm going with that. I'm going to be cutting B2 and A3 out of this. It's just tall enough, and I can fit both on there. I have my pieces cut, and I'm going to line them up. Now I know this seems difficult. This is definitely harder than what we've done in the past. But again, I'm sure there would be a system, a way to just sit and do this, and it would just go quickly. But now we're going to be sewing them together. So I'm going to sew these two together, right sides together, right there, and then I will press open. I sewed together A1 and A2, and now I'm going to add A3, like that. I have my first block complete. Now I'm going to take B1, B2, B3, and I'm going to sew these together also. I have my two blocks. This is block A, this is block B. I'm taking block A, I'm leaving it right here. I'm taking block B, which is beside it, and that's the way it was sewn. This was B1, B2, B3. I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to be sewing my diagonal this way, so when I turn it up, we're going to have that corner thing happening. And not a corner thing happening on this one, but that's okay, because that other corner that we have is going to give us enough to make some really weird designs. So let me draw my line. And I'm going to sew 1/4 inch on each side of that line. Just so you can see, I sewed about 1/4 inch on each side of that line. And now we cut on the diagonal, and I'm actually just going to cut with scissors. Let's press these open. And I have the two blocks. This is going to look a lot like the previous quilt that I put on the quilt board with the wonky half square triangles. But I wanted to do this just so you can see how to match this design if you want to. So we just have to make patterns, and this is what you would end up with. Obviously, you would have different fabrics, and you could use 6 different fabrics if you wanted to. I don't know how it would turn out, but it would be different. I'm going to call this one with a lot of brown block 1, and this is block 2. So I will do some quilts with just block 1, some with just block 2, and then I will do some with a combination. So do stick around. I hope that we like it. I'm always so anxious to see what I can do with it. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future quilt blocks. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!